Hello, Canadians and viewers from elsewhere. Welcome back to This Week in Canada. My name is Roberto Wakeroll Cruz, and with me, as always, is Nico Johnson. Nico, say hello.
Hello. It's so good to be back. It's not a super exciting week, or as exciting as last week, but we still found content, and there's plenty to discuss. It was a big election week, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun covering the elections. There was 2 by-elections in Ontario, all in the GTA, both in the GTA, and then there was 2 provincial elections that took place, one in Saskatchewan and one over in British Columbia.
Exactly.
So, Nico, you know a little bit about both. I also know a little bit about both, but I'm going to let you take the lead here. So go ahead and tell us what happened. It was a pretty interesting time. Let's start with the by-elections, actually.
Let's start the by-elections. By-elections were interesting. So there are 2 by-elections. There's one in York Centre and there's one in Toronto Centre. Now, firstly, it's important to recognise that these 2 seats always go Liberal. I think the last time York Centre went Conservative actually was when Harper got a majority government.
It's 2011.
And Toronto Centre. Yeah, exactly. And so, which is a good sign. And it was extremely close in York Centre. If it wasn't for the PPC, Maxime Bernier, who got 300 votes, sort of at 1% of the vote, I think, the Conservatives would have won it, which is a bit disappointing. And then in Toronto Centre, you had the Green Party leader, who is Anna May Paul. I haven't quite figured out how to say her first name yet. And she was running against a sort of CTV 9/11 truther, apparently. And essentially, what happened there was, despite the fact that the Green Party chose not to run when Jagmeet Singh was running in Burnaby South, just out of just niceties, it's just a pleasant thing to do. The NDP didn't offer the Green Party the same gift, I suppose, and so the Green Party lost. But we were so close to having 2 less Liberals in Parliament. But because the NDP are morally corrupt, apparently, and just gasp for any funding that they can get because they're totally poor, and because the PPC ran, and it is clear to me, at least, that the PPC's only job in life at this point is now just to grant the Liberal Party seats. I don't really understand the point of them. I was a bit irritated with them on Twitter. But perhaps, some of your PPC voters explain that one to me. But yeah, so it was a disappointing night, wasn't it?
Well, I do have to correct you on something because Nico is wrong. Let's get a graphic that just says Nico is wrong on the screen. Big, bold letters and music. Nico, I need to correct you because someone else will if I don't. And also it's just factually incorrect. So the Conservatives did lose in the riding of, I think it was York Centre was the one that Yara Sachs won. And just as a little aside, Yara Sachs is Jewish and that's fine. But she also doesn't believe in Israel, which is, if you're Jewish, and it is a very, I would say, there's a lot of Jews in York Centre. I think it's one of the highest ridings in Canada for the Jewish population at something like 14%, which,
hey, wow,
that's a lot, right? But anyway, so enough about Yara Sachs, congrats to her. But the Conservative candidate, Julius Tiangson, I believe he's a Filipino lad. He lost, and the PPC did somewhat split the vote. But even if you were to add the PPC's votes to the Conservatives' votes, they were still about 50 shy from winning.
Okay. So forgive me, but do you know what I mean?
Okay, but hold on. The whole premise of your thing was that the PPC had robbed the election from the Conservatives, which is just correct.
On a recount.
And let me add, and this is something that I actually believe to be true. I don't think that the voters of the PPC would have even bothered to vote Conservative in the first place. These people are so done with the Conservative Party. They believe they don't represent them. That they're so, they're right wing, like properly right wing, whereas the Conservatives, you could say, are closer to the center. And that's Maxime Bernier's whole criticism, is that the CPC has basically become the Liberal Party, but with more people that might be dodgy about abortion or something. But Maxime always goes on these big globalist rants. He went on Twitter, and yes, he admitted as much. He basically just came out and said that it's like the PPC's job to split the vote, and they're going to continue doing it. And then he said, "That's democracy, baby," or something like that. Basically, he's coming off as a bit of a dingus. I don't like Maxime Bernier. There was a point where I did like him quite a bit during the first Conservative election against Andrew Scheer. I think if he had just stuck around during this Conservative leadership
would now
vote,
be leader.
He
That's
would be
the
leader
great
now.
shame of it. And we have someone who is, let's say, some people perceive Erin O'Toole to be a bit boring. One of the things that Maxime Bernier certainly isn't is boring.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's a Keb, so he can take some votes from the Liberals in Quebec. If he was leader right now of the Conservative Party, there's a good chance the Conservatives would be at the top of the polls. He had some exciting ideas back before he created the PPC. I think he was actually quite an exciting politician. I like his libertarianism. But now it's becoming irritating. I would argue.
Yeah, but he's helping out the Liberals in ways that is very annoying. And while I do not think there has actually been an election in any riding that the PPC has cost a Conservative candidate, including this one, because again, they were like 50 votes shy. But yeah. I did write a bit of an analysis about it. And this is something that's going to start, turning some heads, because it's starting to look like if the PPC does stick around, granted, they lost their only riding in Beauce by a pretty wide margin. But still, if more and more people become disenfranchised, detach themselves from the Conservatives, I could see more people jumping on the PPC down the road, and that spells big trouble for the Conservatives. Big trouble.
But of course, that wasn't the only election. In fact, these were the two minor elections. We had an election in Saskatchewan with Scott Moe, which was a total car crash for the NDP. And we had an election in British Columbia where John Horgan won by a pretty clear majority. And you guys are stuck with sort of socialist car insurance for the next 5 years, it seems. But, I like Scott Moe. I like the Saskatchewan Party. I think Saskatchewan is probably the most conservative province in Canada. I love everyone from there. I like Andrew Scheer. I think Garnet Genuis is from Saskatchewan.
Yes, he is. I believe he is.
And he's a wonderful guy. So well done. That was a good result. BC, better luck next time. I think the analysis of all this is that Trudeau was looking to hold an election. He was quite comfortable with that. And on top of that, as we talked about last week, he was looking at governments, both inside Canada and outside Canada, all of whom have done quite well as a result of being the party governing in the pandemic. They've all got pretty big majorities. Same can be said in Saskatchewan. Same can be said in British Columbia. But the thing about it is that the Liberals were punished. They weren't punished severely, but it was a punishment nonetheless. And that may have been just because it was a by-election, or two by-elections. It may have just been because the voter turnout was abysmal. I mean, Canadians, take some more interest in your democracy. It was like 14%. It was crazy.
So the voter turnout in York Centre was, 25%. And then the voter turnout in Toronto Centre was just over 30%. So pretty bad, really abysmal.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe Justin Trudeau will reconsider jumping the gun on an election. Do you think that's going to be the case?
Maybe. One other thing just about voter turnout. I'm looking at the Toronto Centre registered electors. There's 81,000. Doesn't that seem really low?
Yeah, it does actually.
There's only 81,000 people registered to vote in the middle of Toronto.
Well, to be fair, I think they're pretty careful with constituency. The way they create ridings in Canada is that they try and get the same population for every single riding. But It does seem quite low. I thought it was going to be 100,000 is what they usually... In the UK, it's 100,000.
Okay. It seems like ours might be closer to about 70,000 to 80,000 because I'm looking at York Centre and it's 70,000. So, I guess you're right. But that's not really fair, though, All you have to do is win Toronto, clearly, because that's what Justin Trudeau does, is just win Toronto, and you stay in power. Whereas I think people in Toronto are probably more like-minded than anywhere else. It's not a perfect system. Seems to be doing pretty well, though, I guess. I don't know. Justin Trudeau's a bit annoying. But anyway, sorry, what was your question? You were saying Justin Trudeau, do you think he's changed his mind on having an election?
Yeah. What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, the NDP's victory in British Columbia was pretty convincing. Horgan, I think he is... I don't know much about British Columbian politics. It seems like the Greens did pretty shabby. I don't really follow BC politics too much. I guess I wish them the best. I'm not really sure. I don't like any time the NDP does well because I think Jagmeet Singh stinks, at least under this administration. I think Jagmeet Singh stinks a lot. Yeah. And I don't want him to be able to gain any steam. He's not a very good speaker. He's not very compelling.
Also, you know what I read about him the other day? He has a Rolex collection. He's the leader of the Socialist Party in Canada, and the guy has a Rolex collection and like talks about it openly.
No, he
in
doesn't.
like a National Post interview. He does. Fact check it, James.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. God, I hope I'm not wrong. That'd be really embarrassing.
All right, so we just did a fact check, but I'm not seeing this in front of me right now. We're not doing it live, so we are going to continue this as if it were true.
Yeah.
And so if it's false, you guys
Just
are just
take
gonna
it
hear.
out.
You guys are just gonna hear us talk about something that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Jamie Singh has a Rolex collection.
Yeah, and his suits cost thousands of dollars. I'm pretty sure he drives a BMW. It said that in the same article.
Yeah.
Like the guy is just so obvious. Like his ambition is to hold political office and high political offices. It's not to actually do anything with the political office.
Well, it just kind of goes to show that this kind of working man thing, this socialist kind of communist thing, is a lot about fashion and how you present yourself.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, as much as Russia was scary and the USSR was scary, the imagery of Russia and the USSR was really cool. Like, I mean, you think about the hammer and sickle, it's really good branding, you know?
Yeah.
Much better branding than any other kind of, evil movement, I think. But again, this doesn't surprise me that much. Jagmeet Singh, he comes off as privileged. He talks down to people. I think a lot of these kind of super woke people don't realize that this kind of lingo, these terms, intersectionality, and like racialized Canadians. I heard Justin Trudeau or some Jagmeet Singh use the word racialized Canadians, which I guess I'm racialized. I hate the term racialized Canadian. It makes it sound like something that happened to me. I mean, it makes it sound like something bad happened. Like, oh, that guy's racialized. It's like, what the hell? These people, they don't realize that the terms that they use all come from education, places of privilege, really. It's all quite ironic because they're speaking down to regular people that use real language that don't think about these things and telling them that they're wrong and racist to do it. So Jagmeet Singh, I would say, just shut up for a while, man. Like, I don't know why he hasn't stepped down at this point. He got I don't know what the term would be. I would just say decimated in the last election. 24 seats. Brought it all the way down from Jack Layton's, which was over 100 at one point. Really embarrassing stuff. So I don't know what it will take for him to step down. And that's why I don't like that John Horgan won, because it seems like that would put some wind under their wings. You know what I mean? It's not good. Yeah.
Totally agree. That was a good point, Bobby.
What a sweet, sweet transition. And we noted just after that last bit that we're kind of low energy, you know? I think the news is just overall not very exciting this week, but we'll try to pep up a little bit for this next segment. But before we go into it, I wanted to ask our dear viewers, last week we had one of the best weeks, actually the best week that we've ever had on the podcast. I think we got 35,000 views in 1 week. The response was overwhelming. Lots of likes, lots of no dislikes, lots of no dislikes, lots of comments, lots of emails, a lot of fan interaction and engagement, and we really want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Now, the Post Millennial is a pretty small operation. I would say we probably have like 6 full-time staff, maybe. A lot of us carry a lot of weight, and this podcast does take time out of our day. We want to do it right, and we want to do it well. So Nico and I had a meeting, and we are now going to think about probably starting a Patreon. Please let us know in the comments if you would like this, if this is something you'd be interested in. We're talking Patreon for merch, donations, maybe mugs, T-shirts with like Pierre Poilievre on them, stuff like just fun stuff to get the viewers engaged, and maybe personalize question Q&As. Things like that. You have to keep in mind, we're up against corporations like the CBC that are funded solely through the Trudeau government and the taxpayer. They get millions and millions and millions of dollars that we do not. We're a small operation, so every donation would really count here. Let us know in the comments if this is something that you would support. We really hope that it is, because we're fighting an uphill battle here. We're under a microscope all the time. Any little error we make is blown out of proportion. We shouldn't be making errors, but sometimes it happens, and they call us all sorts of names. So let us know in the comments if that's something you would like. What do you think, Nico? Does that sound good?
Let me tell you, Bobby, I would definitely do it. But so essentially, I think Bobby got most of the points there. But we really do love doing this, and this does cost money, and it is costing TPM money because it takes time away from the day. So we're looking at ways of monetizing it just so we can carry on doing it, because we love it so much. And we really appreciate you guys. So yeah, that's essentially it.
Fantastic. Now let's move on to our next very fun topic about our favorite loser, Patty Hajdu. Now I still don't know. I did bad hairdo. I still don't
Karen
know.
in chief.
Karen in chief, Minister of Karen. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I've never really liked her. At the very beginning of the pandemic, I wanted to say I liked her. I thought she was kind of she came off as like a bit sweet. You know, she was just doing her best. But then the kind of rational part of my brain was like, wait, she shouldn't just be doing her best. She's the health minister during a pandemic.
Yeah, I know.
She's been telling us for a long time. Oh, actually, at the beginning of the pandemic, people like Dr. Theresa Tam and Patty Hajdu were saying, we're not sure if masks help. They actually might make it worse because you're touching your face all the time, adjusting your mask, and that could actually spread the virus. That was about in April. Obviously, since then, we've done a total 180, and now if you don't wear a mask, you're a fascist. That needs to be stopped. I don't know how that happened so quickly. Something to do with the WHO. Whatever. Patty Hajdu was caught, and I'm going to say caught. She was seen at the Toronto Pearson Airport not wearing a mask. Now,
it's true. Like, I don't think anyone actually cares about her not wearing a mask. Any conservative, any sensible person is sort of like, oh, it's just whatever. But it's the principle. The fact that she makes other Canadians wear masks and then accuses them of being a bit loopy if they choose not to. Yeah. And the point which I remember is, you remember when Andrew Scheer was still leader? It was in like his last week. And he was also at Toronto Pearson Airport. And he was talking to some people who clearly wanted to say hi to him. And he took off his mask. This is, again, in the early days of the pandemic. I just think probably out of courtesy. You know, It's not very nice having a conversation with someone who's wearing a mask. You can't see their facial expressions. And he was just totally castigated for it. Totally castigated for it by the media.
Yeah, completely. And
yeah. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, there was a little bit of internet lag there. Hopefully we can fix that. I'm just going to... I believe the timeline... Andrew Scheer was caught during the summer months, I want to say. I want to say it was maybe during the downslope of one of the waves. It wasn't during like the peak of the second wave for Patty Hajdu, which as our health minister, you would hope would be setting a better example. Now, she got called out for this over and over again on Twitter by the likes of Michelle Rempel-Gardner, the critic of the Conservatives, health critic.
Love Michelle.
And basically what Patty Hajdu... I love Michelle. Basically what Patty Hajdu said was that she was eating or drinking. But the problem is that we have a photo and there's no food or drink anywhere to be seen anywhere around her. It's almost like she's lying.
Yeah, it's very odd. And there's another example, actually, in New Zealand. And remember, Justin Trudeau likes to think of himself as Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, just with, male anatomy. And he thinks he's as intelligent. He thinks he's as courteous, as morally blind, wonderful things. But in reality, what Jacinda Ardern does when a minister is overtly hypocritical and elitist, which is what I think this is that she fires them. And when you look at Trudeau's record of firing ministers, Patty Hajdu should have been fired when she accused a journalist of spreading conspiracy theories when they said that China's coronavirus data wasn't proper. Look how long it took him to fire Bill Morneau. So despite the fact that Patty Hajdu clearly should be fired here and replaced with someone who isn't a graphic designer, we know for a fact that this is just she's going to be in government for as long as Justin Trudeau is.
Yeah, basically. It's a pretty embarrassing time. And I'm glad you mentioned China because I think we're going to do a transition. We can't really go on too long about that one. Just wanted to take the piss out of Patty Hajdu there for a little bit. But we wanted to show you a quick video that has resurfaced. And we're going to do a transition. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Justin Trudeau. Let's do it. That was a great transition. Again, that was our Chinese transition. We have it for special segments about China. It just, a panda there. It's very fun. Anyway, we stumbled upon something on Twitter that was very interesting. Now, this comes from a Taiwanese news corporation that does these really odd animations to get information across. I found this very interesting. I've never seen this before, and I hope you haven't either because we're going to show a nice clip now. James, roll the tape.
加拿大总理杜鲁多最近卷入了颇受争议的自由党筹款活动。 为了募捐政治基金，他不惜大拍当地中国商人的马屁。显然，只要花上加币1525，就可以得到与总理谈天的入场券。在5月19日，杜鲁多参加了在多伦多由华商会会长班森王举办的募款餐会。与会者上有正在寻求加拿大政府批准建立一家新银行的保险业大亨钱生林。在参会之后的几个礼拜，另一位与会者中国亿万富翁张斌与他的工作伙伴捐了100万加币给老杜鲁多基金会跟蒙特楼大学法学院。在11月7号，杜鲁多又纡尊降贵，参加了温哥华一个类似的中国商人募款活动。杜鲁多和自由党政府为了筹款，而向这些与北京关系紧密的商人靠拢。忘记了中国政府忽视人权的事实，加拿大一向重视的自由主义精神被标价拍卖了吗？
Wow, what a clip!
Now, I saw that on Twitter. I had never seen that before. I think it's a few years old. It's from 2016, and basically that whole video goes and in very well done animations, as you saw Justin Trudeau. With a panda bear over his face, kind of with a Chinese tea bag on his chin. Very interesting kind of visuals there. Basically, it's explaining the Justin Trudeau situation better than our own CBC can do. It's incredible that once you get far enough away from Canada, people actually know what's going on.
Yeah, I know it's good. The CBC for the state broadcast does such a poor job of informing Canadians about what's going on, but in particular about China. And it's nice to see that someone somewhere is outraged by Trudeau's just total acquiescence about China.
Yeah.
You know, he has let that country and the regime just infiltrate our democracy. We know this. We know this for a fact. There's been RCMP reports. We know that they have sort of managed to get into every institution that we have. And Taiwan, who obviously doesn't much like China, is fed up with it. And that's a wonderful thing. They're doing God's work, aren't they?
I was about to say, man, like if anyone is going to call out China for being an asshole, I would think it's going to be Taiwan. Now, if you haven't seen that video, let's pull it up right now. It's this Taiwanese guy saying China is asshole.
Think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole.
Hong Kong.
Oh, sorry.
Roberto is wrong graphic in the chat.
Damn it. All right, yeah, so that was a Hong Konger. But basically, yes. Obviously, Taiwan sees the situation that's going on, that China is overthrowing democracies in this very slow and painful way. They're infiltrating, and obviously someone as weak, spineless, and stupid, I'll say, as Justin Trudeau is going to be influenced by power, money, and a few Chinese guys in nice suits. Something I wanted to talk about. Justin Trudeau gave a press conference about a pandemic. You know, Theresa Tam was there. I can't really remember what it was. I watch all of them. And during the pandemic, he did this whole 2-minute, 3-minute long speech, which I have a theory that Justin Trudeau knows exactly how long Twitter can allow video. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds because all his speeches, all these monologues seem to be about 2 minutes and 20 seconds long, which is, just a coincidence maybe. But he looked deep into the camera and he said, "The pandemic sucks." This trying to relate to it really, really sucks. My 6-year-old son looked at me and said, Daddy, is the pandemic forever? And we as Canadians need to remember that, no, this isn't forever. And if we all do our role and stand, and just like this whole kind of rigmarole that we all have heard so many times before. And this is because, and I know it's a bit of a trope, but it's because he's a drama teacher at heart. Yeah. Justin Trudeau, if he was born into a middle-class family, would be a drama teacher right now, or a kayak instructor, or some kind of yoga instructor. He would be doing something kind of soul-fulfilling. A lot of soul-searching in that guy. Yeah. And because he's a drama teacher, and I will speak from personal experience here, drama kids are losers, and I hate them. Now, you might have been a drama kid. You may have been in the arts. I just want to say I don't hate you. I love you. But you're not Justin Trudeau. I'm from Windsor, Ontario. There is a school called Walkerville. My stepbrother went to Walkerville, and this was the performing arts school. And I remember going to parties, and you would go to a Walkerville party, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen at Walkerville? Now, Walkerville, again, was the art school, but it was also known for being, everyone was at least bisexual. It's not really
At least
bisexual. I remember that was the thing that everyone said. And you would go to these parties, and you would meet the host. You'd be like, oh, where's Aaron? This is Aaron's house. And you would go, and Aaron would be like, welcome to the festivities. And it's just like, what? Am I meeting you, or am I meeting like the Great Gatsby flamboyant guy? I was like, would you like some drink? And it's just like, dude, can you, like, I always beg of actors, these drama kids. It's just like, can you just be a person in front of me?
One of the wisest things that Bobby has ever said, and it sounds quite simple on the facade of it, but in reality it's a pretty good point, and that's actors are always acting. And this was after Meghan Markle sort of came out to BBC News and said something irritating about how Britain's full of racists, and it was just clear that this was some monologue that she's prepared. They are never themselves. They are never serious. And Justin Trudeau clearly is part of that tradition, and it's intensely irritating. So I totally understand why that grated you a little bit.
Justin
enough
Trudeau.
Of that, Justin. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Justin Trudeau, and you can tell in his psyche, I can read minds, right? I'm very good at reading minds. It's one of my abilities. Justin Trudeau, I read his mind, and he believes that he's like the main character of a movie. You know what I mean? You can see this in that one super cringe, embarrassing clip of him going up to what's his wife's name? Sophie Gregoire or whatever.
Gregoire.
Yeah, and being like, I was born for this. I am a winner. I go out there and I win. And it's just like, dude, that sounds like something a loser would say.
Who we know is just annoying. She's an annoying person. I don't think she's very clever. Even she said to Justin Trudeau, dude, calm down. This is just really weird. Can we get a clip of that, actually?
Yeah, let's roll that clip.
I was put on this planet to do this. This is I fight and I win. It's what I'm good at. Non, mais c'est vrai, chérie.
You fight from the good place.
Oui. Toi, tu
And that's actually a pretty hard clip to find. I challenge you after this video, try to find that, like YouTube search it. It's kind of tough to pull up. You'll get a lot of clips of him saying inspirational stuff, but anything embarrassing about Justin Trudeau, I know this is a bit conspiratorial, is a little bit tougher to find. So yeah, to my point, basically, if any other prime minister ever in the future has drama teacher or any kind of acting, like even if he went to Hollywood once, like that shows that he has some kind of interest in film. If he ever talks about his favorite movies and he says something like David Lynch or something weird, I will just lose it. Like I almost said something way worse there. Justin Trudeau should not be the prime minister. I'm going to say that. And I don't care if it's about anything, if it's the spending, if it's the China stuff, if it's the frequent scandals. He should not be a prime minister because he is a drama teacher at heart. And as such, he's a liar, he's dishonest, and he needs to just be himself. Who is Justin Trudeau? Are you somebody else in there, or are you always pretending to be someone? It's very annoying.
Yeah, that's a wonderful voice.
Is our final transition of the show, and if you notice, again, it had some techno music. We're trying out new things, trying to make it exciting. Let us know. Leave a like for the techno music if you're a rave junkie, if you're on LSD right now. Thank you for watching This Week in Canada. Again, we're going to be launching a Patreon, and we also have our email, as you know, that we are receiving questions from by the dozen. I'm not exaggerating. We probably have about 90, 100 emails now.
And by the way, we promise you, we do read all of them. We are so bad at responding to them just because we're sort of lazy, and I'm hungover quite a lot. But it's like my favorite thing to do when I wake up. So I go straight to that inbox and I read what people are saying. And it's really, really nice if you guys send an email. So please do. It makes my day.
Also, if you want to send us some memes, Maybe we'll do a meme segment next week. We'll rate your memes. Okay, so send us a meme.
That's never been done before.
Yes, we will rate your memes. Basically that's it. So we will be launching a Patreon. I think at heart, that's where we're going. And we really encourage you to subscribe. I want to say again that we are a tiny, tiny operation, and we're trying to make as big an impact as possible. Doing this podcast takes a bit of time. I should be, watching press conferences and writing or something like that. So leave a like, leave a subscription. Let us know if we didn't touch anything that you wanted to talk about. And thank you for watching. Have a great week.
Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.